We're here in St. Louis, Missouri, gateway to the West, to tour Aesculap's incredible National Instrument Repair Facility. Aesculap has been around since 1867, and we're here to find out how a company that has locations around the world stays true to its German master craftsman origins and focused on their commitment to precision and patient safety. We'll talk with them about the principles that have built the company to where it is today and what will guide them into the future on this episode of Beyond the Tour.
Hank, Justin, and I arrived in St. Louis at Aesculap's National Repair Facility, where we met up with Tim Cochran, an industry expert and longtime partner and friend of Beyond Clean. We had heard about the great team that leads this facility, and we're excited to finally meet them.
Guys, welcome to St. Louis and welcome to Aesculap's National Repair Center. We're so pleased to have you here. I'd like to introduce you to this guy. This is Chris. Chris is our Associate Director for Field Services. He handles all the technicians out in the field. Stephen is our training manager. He handles all the training for our technicians that come in-house as well as the field service. And then Pavel on the end, he runs the operations here in St. Louis.
All right, we're so excited. We've heard so many great things. We can't wait to get inside and see what you got going on.
That's perfect. These guys are going to show you around. This is their baby, and I will catch up with you guys later, and it is great to have you here.
Guys, welcome to ATS, Aesculap Technical Service, of course, okay? And this is where it all starts. This is our National Repair Center, and right here we start with our receiving, our pre-screening as well of instruments. We want to make sure those instruments are safe to handle. We take responsibility to our employees very seriously. It is one of our core values. And so if there's ever any doubt about how safe an instrument is, we have a cleaning room next door that we can put them through the washers and decontaminate, make them safe to handle. Once we've done our pre-screen and everything is accounted for, well, then we can move on to the actual receiving process where we start booking things into our ATS Connect system. And that's our repair tracking system where we can record not only what we have, but when it happened, who did it, and everything goes through there. Our technicians actually have an iPad that they can scan the QR code so it uniquely identifies each order and each instrument down to the customer, so that we can record then electronically exactly when it happens, and we can see and track it through the whole system. So we go through our pre-screen and to our receiving, and once it's been released, that's when it goes up to the technicians, and that's when the magic really starts to happen. We have our own training room here. It's where all new technicians start out their life. They have to endure some time with me during training. Up there on the left, we have our installation room where insulated instruments can get their coating redone. Further up on the left, we have our containers. We're very proud, of course, of our containers here at Aesculap. We have a special area for container repairs right there.
Education and training is near and dear to my heart. At some point, I would love to check out the training room.
Absolutely. I'd be too proud to. But in the meantime, why don't you guys just take a look around?
Great.
I got a chance to step away with Chris and Stephen to check out the training room where Aesculap craftsmanship begins.
We've heard about the craftsmanship that comes along with the Aesculap brand, and what I'm really excited to learn more about is the training aspect, because with high quality comes really good training. So tell me about that process.
Yeah, we're proud of our training program here. We start every technician out in this room. We focus on principles and techniques, on functionality, but it doesn't stop there. We discuss how instruments are likely to be used. So it's not just the whats, but the whys. So we really start to really understand and take on board what these are, and there's so much more than just this. There's no such thing as just a surgical instrument. Everything in there is a life-saving piece of surgical technology in the right hands.
And when these techs come through this room, what do they feel when they come here versus when they leave? What is that thing that you instill in them through this training process?
I think it's a certain level of pride. I really do. I always say a good technician has a level of confidence that almost borders on arrogance, as it were. That when we go out of here, we have a solid grounding, a solid understanding of how these things are being made, how these things are being used, and therefore how we can go about making sure that the functionality is there so we can improve the quality of a patient's life.
That craftsmanship that lasts generations. You're in charge of infusing that legacy into these new trainees.
Yeah, it's always cool when you see that little light go on, when somebody realizes exactly what it is they're dealing with. It really is cool. It's so much more than just the item itself, how the lives that are going to be touched by it.
I love that. And Chris, you're in charge of bringing these technicians in to receive this training. How does the field service interplay with the training?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a balance, right? So we're looking for the technical aptitude of somebody who can learn, and Stephen takes them and molds them into that technician, that craftsman that we want them to be. But then we're also looking for a quality individual who really gets there in healthcare. They're a part of patient care, and if we do what we do, then the clinicians, can do what they do. There's such a responsibility that comes with that.
I'm hearing that this just isn't just a job. And we're here in this training room. I see all these different tools. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, yeah, we're set up here to practice on the same kinds of equipment that we would in the field, in real life, as it were. You're practicing on real life scenarios, that these instruments are going to be used on real life patients down the line. So it's really important that we understand why these need to be done in a certain way. We believe there's a wrong way and a right way to do things, and we try to focus on the why and how they're going to be used, not just on the what to do.
And that why comes back to them and their loved ones being a patient at some point and understanding that the quality they put in is the quality they receive.
Absolutely. We ascribe a rule of mum, if you will, that if you weren't happy for this instrument to be used on your own mother, for example, then it's not good enough. It either needs to be reworked or taken out of service.
So from this point, once a new technician has completed their training part, we would put them into a mentorship type program out in the field. But hey, Stephen, you want to see if Lynn's can hack getting on the wheel right now?
What do you think? You want to go?
Let's try it.
Let's do it.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Hands or anything like that?
Don't do my fingers.
Yeah, this is. You could do this. You're trainable.
That's great.
With all 10 fingers in place, I joined Pavel and the rest of the crew to continue the tour.
What you're seeing here is the main shop floor, and this is what I would like to call the main area where majority of our technicians reside on a daily basis. Every technician is well equipped with the tools and equipment that they need to perform their tasks. Working with the tools, working with their hands, focusing on the quality of the repairs that they need to be performed. We also have a couple rooms here off to my left now where we have more of an industrial sized machinery, including the bead blasting machines that we use to do refurbishing on instruments. Over this way is our digital microscope room, which is a great example of the innovation that is a huge part of who we are as pioneers in technology. We are truly customer focused, and that means we are constantly investing in the future and creating solutions that will improve the way the surgeon can perform and ultimately improve the quality of patient's care. Awesome. So let's put the glasses on and follow me. All right.
So Chris, you've got 4 different modalities of how you service your customers when it comes to repair, and they all meet different needs. Can you lay those out for me?
Yeah, so our first one, everything kind of starts and stops with our National Repair Center here in St. Louis. We take in large volumes and then really extensive repairs. Then we also have our on-site modality, where we're going to the customer sites in a van. And then we have in-house, so we actually have physical space in a hospital. We really like that because that really integrates us with the hospital staff and their team. And then somewhere a little bit of a hybrid of that is what we affectionately call our pod. We have a trailer that's parked on site. When we can't get that in-house room, and we can still deliver that in-house level of service in a mobile setting.
So, Chris, what are the chances I can get into one of these vans?
Hey, I think we can make that work.
Awesome.
So what Tobias is about to do, he's going to take this device and he's going to refurbish it. There's heavy discoloration. There's definitely some imperfections that you can see on the surface of it.
Obvious.
Some stains, some dark spots, and I cannot wait for you to see the finished product by the time he's done refurbishing it.
Right on. Looks brand new.
All right, so hey guys, what do you think?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah?
Got a lot of stuff going on.
Well, no repair is complete, of course, until it passes final inspection. So let's head back and see Rick, and we'll go over QC. So everybody, this is QC, and this is Rick. There's no substitute for experience, and this guy is everything that you need to know about experience right here. Why don't you tell him a little bit about your history?
Well, I started in the business in 1973, right after high school. Worked through there until 2001 and came over here to Aesculap. Been here ever since, 21 years.
50 years of experience is the gatekeeper between instruments that come to this facility and the patients that they're used on. That's incredible. Why do you do it? You've done it for 50 years. What keeps you here?
I want to make sure everything's perfect. It's getting to the patient perfect, that it's used, that nobody's going to have any kind of mistakes or something not work with that instrument. And it could be used on me one day.
Yeah, pride, I think, goes through. Responsibility to our employees is something we've heard about, but that obviously extends to the patient. We want to improve that quality of a patient's life so surgeons can operate with greater precision. And it really does end with the experience that we have here, the training that we've done, and it all flows through. And then Rick here is the gatekeeper. There's no replacement for experience. So this really is the end of the tour. It makes sense to end there. We started with a master craftsman, we finish with a master craftsman. Wow. Pretty cool.
Before we met up with the Aesculap team for dinner, Justin got his wish to see a repair van in action and joined Andy, one of their tenured field repair technicians, for a ride-along.
Hey Justin, this is Andy.
Andy, nice
one
to
of our
meet you.
field
Yeah.
techs. He's been here for about 15 years. He's going to take good care of you.
Great.
You ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's
go
do it.
this. Here, I'll even open the door. How about
What
that?
service? So what does it look like when you come onto the van and you just start going to work?
Okay, so my daily process is where I get to the hospital, I set my van up. I go to the SPD. We get the sets from our coordinator there, and then I bring them down and I start to go to work. Log all the information, what sets they are, how many pieces
So you have
are
a
in them.
checklist.
And then we start to go to town. So first thing we do is pull the sets out, making sure that the lid, the bottom, everything is serviceable, and go. So
Right, because the instruments can't be sterile if the container's not in the right condition.
if it's not in a good
It's
condition,
not a
right,
sealed
so if it's-
container.
Right.
So it's not
Right.
just about the instruments,
not
it's
at
about
all.
the container they come in. Anything that comes out to the van, you're going to be inspecting and taking a look
Absolutely. And from that point, I take everything out of the tray and I put it over here on my table. So we're checking for serviceability. A lot of things is feel. You can feel the tooth get caught.
at. That's going to be the surgeon's experience.
They're only as good as the instruments that they're able to use.
This reminds me of what we were talking about on the way down, because you were just talking about how much you love your job,
Right.
but also how connected you are. You were
Right.
telling me this story about
My
you know how
grandson.
you serviced the labor and delivery instruments that were ultimately used to deliver your grandson.
My grandson was born in the hospital that I served.
Right. What if one of those instruments didn't work?
Well, and even the funnier thing was the month before he was born, we went through all labor and delivery trays. I had a part of that. Same thing. These hospitals here, 3 years ago, we had one of our co-workers, mother-in-law, going in for brain surgery. I was parked out front here. They seen that my van was parked out front, knowing that I was in it. I got out. I explained what I do.
And that's a scary procedure they're about
for
to go
their whole
through.
family.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Long story short is she came out, she had no paralysis at all. That
Everything
surgeon-
about that surgery had to be precise for that to have the best possible outcome.
Absolutely.
What does that mean to you? I mean, you're doing this every day. Sometimes it's a grind, but
Yeah, it means a lot. Everybody has to have a purpose, right? You know, we all search for that purpose in life, right? I'm getting to be an older gentleman. I'm an old guy now, so my purpose, this is the way I'm looking at it, this is my purpose.
It's your legacy.
It all ties together, man. I mean, all of it ties together. Me carrying what I'm doing, SPD carrying what they're doing, doctors carrying what they're doing. Right?
It's a caring environment, and you really care about what you do.
I have to. I see the patients coming in and out the door, right? I see the families walking the patients in and out the door.
Yeah.
So
And they're real people, and they're real to you when they're going by.
they're not a contract or a bid put on the table.
Andy, this has been awesome. Like, I really enjoyed our drive down. You have a very consistent process here that you come in, it's like I'm almost slowing you down. You come in and you just do everything. Yeah. I can't thank you enough for having me on the van today.
No problem, man, no problem. Anytime. As long as you don't slow me down anymore.
Since we were in Missouri, we had to take the opportunity to eat some St. Louis-style barbecue. We met at a place in nearby historic St. Charles called Salt and Smoke to hear more about the history and the heart of Aesculap.
You know, this is my favorite part of doing these, is now we get to come back, just reflect on what we learned today. And one of the things about Aesculap as a company is not only are you a service organization, but you're also a manufacturer, and I feel like that just puts you in a really unique position. You have this whole experience with getting a block of steel and then turning it into an instrument. And so I'm assuming that there are some things that are very similar between making a brand new instrument and then repairing an instrument after, you know, it's been in use.
Absolutely. I love talking about that story. That was the exact experience I have had when I was going through my apprentice program. The first week was basically that. I was given a metal block that I was filing on for like weeks straight, right? It kind of comes back to this whole why and what all makes you the expert in what you're doing. So, for example, I was basically learning how to file a straight edge. A lot of people don't even think of it like that from the origins, from making of the instruments. But there's quite some skills that go into those techniques. And it takes time to develop those techniques. And I still remember that, and I think they will never go away.
And so, Pavel, you talked about the what and the why, but also the who comes in that master craftsman theme all the way from the beginning of training to the end of the quality conversation. We spoke briefly with Rick about that, but I really want to dig into that theme because it's such a powerful picture. It's not just about the process, but it is, as you like to say, it's about the people as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, just about every instrument is handmade, is hand finished, and that craftsman aspect, that the filing the flats, the understanding the what's and more importantly, the whys, the way we do things is really important. And to try and drive home that operating with precision type message to our technicians really is, I think, probably the most important role that I can ever have as a trainer, is drive that home and really sort of push in the experience that both Pavel and I had during our apprenticeships and try to recreate that somewhat here so we can really pass on that skill set to the next generation of technicians, develop the next generation of craftsmen who in turn can pass it on to the next one.
One of the things that I think is influenced from that manufacturing floor is our promotion process for our technicians. We'll take a Tech 1, right? And when they're ready to become a Tech 2, they'll take a written test. They'll also take a hands-on test. Before we allow them to take the Tech 2 test, they have to go back and repass the Tech 1 test. Same thing when they're ready for Tech 3. They're going to go back and they're going to take the Tech 1 and the Tech 2 before they're allowed to take the Tech 3. That building block of principles never leaves them.
You know what I love about the whole, block of metal is it's such a metaphor for how you mold your people and your technicians to be something that can really perform out there in the field.
And you don't have to do it that way. One thing that I've learned about Aesculap is you operate on this higher playing field. You have these quality standards that you don't necessarily have to have, but I keep seeing this theme in all the conversations we've had today is you keep doing the right thing. Whatever is going to help you meet that quality standard, that's really built into the DNA.
Aesculap's been around a long time, 180 plus years now, okay? And during that time, we've developed what we believe is the right way, and we understand the wrong ways as well of doing things. And we make that conscious choice. We're going to do it right. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. We really have to sort of remember that there is a patient on the end of this, and it's important that that is done the right way, not just quickly, not just conveniently, but we drive that home. And like I say, right from day one, when a new technician walks in the door, we start preaching and teaching the right way of doing things and understanding it and having that patient at the end of the day. That patient is what matters.
So Tim, I remember the conversation a couple of years ago at the National Sterile Processing Conference. Your team was sharing really shocking data, honestly, from your global asset analysis of the percentage of instruments out there in use today, but are not patient ready by any stretch of the imagination. And all this ties in right to the quality piece. So like, how is your team in Aesculap trying to respond to that data, get that data out there?
Well, I mean, Hank, that's a great question. I mean, that data was shocking. The data showed us, I mean, that the sets we were pulling were sets that were basically on the shelf ready to go to the OR. Right. And it was less than 50% of those instruments were ready for the surgery. The analytics and truly trying to drive home that we need more service in these hospitals, in the SPD. And I think a lot of the SPD management believes that as well.
We know it. We see it every day, right?
Yeah. You look at trying to teach the C-suite, trying to get that message through there is something that we have been spending some time trying to do. And let the numbers do the talking. This is not about us trying to make more sales. This is about education, educating the staff, letting them know that this is real.
Because your technicians are so thoroughly trained, and because the foundation is set with quality, with precision, with craftsmanship, from my perspective, it seems like that would position your repair techs as a very important sort of liaison between the sterile processing team and the other people in the hospital setting that can support them from a budgetary perspective to fix those startling problems.
Yeah, we really feel like it does. And you know, we talk about the repair techs, but we've got a whole staff of individuals that support the SPD. And to us, that's where the team as a team and working together with the staff form that partnership and bring the data to them. You know, and we would ask our accountants, hold us accountable, ask for the information. Make us do a business review with you. I would recommend that to any SPD, whether it's us or someone else doing the service. To me, that's imperative, to be able to get the numbers to them, show them how we're improving the process, or if we're not. You know, we want to be accountable for what we're doing.
Those business reviews are so key.
I knew it. I knew you were going to bring
You knew I was going to
Yeah.
jump on that. I'm a big believer in business reviews.
Right.
That's the area where you get the communication. And you know, one of the conversations I had with Andy was, you know, who's in those business reviews. And what I thought was really unique is the sales rep isn't the leader of the business reviews. It's the repair technician that is the leader of the business reviews, and the salesperson comes along. And I've seen a lot where the sales rep coordinates the business reviews, but what the account wants to hear is they want to hear from the technician that's actually servicing the equipment. You know, Stephen, when we talk about training and education, we have somebody in common who would absolutely love not only the whole conversation we've had today, but specifically training and education, and that's Bob Mars. He obviously left a legacy with Aesculap, and he had a great impact on Beyond Clean as well. And
Do you know, I think Bob is probably one of the coolest geeks I ever met. I have a tendency to get in the weeds sometimes when it comes to this sort of thing, but he would be right there with me. I remember one time we were working together in Boston, I believe it was. We were doing an instrument scan in a hospital. We came across this instrument, had a Yetta and Shearer hand stamping on it. Now, Yetta and Shearer is where Aesculap's DNA, its roots come from. So this instrument that we found in an active set in Boston was somewhere at that point at a region of 100 years old, and it was still in working condition, still being used. And we're just jumping around there, and all the SPD staff that we're working with and everything are just looking at us like we're a couple of lunatics. But it was fantastic. They were gracious enough to let us take that away with us, and we kept that as a prize for a while.
Talk about the ability to operate with greater precision. I mean, that instrument was around for 100 years, which speaks volumes about the quality of the manufacturing of that instrument.
Yeah, it really does kind of touch on the legacy of Aesculap in the instrument manufacturing, and also the partnership, right? The partnership with the hospital to maintain that instrument for so long really leads to great patient care.
everything that we've learned today really echoes what you just said. It's the quality of the manufacturing, it's partnerships with hospitals, and that's really what equals patient safety.
So Tim, you mentioned something earlier that there's a lot of people behind that technician on the sterile processing side. Like we see our on-site repair tech, right? That's the name, that's the face. But now through this tour, like there's so many more folks behind it. There's a process behind it from the training side of things. There's a culture side of things. There's an international presence like you described. Like all of this is backing that on-site repair technicians. Really powerful takeaway for me.
Absolutely, and I mean, if you look at the passion these guys have, we are not just one person doing a job. We are a team. We act as a team. We work as a team, and you know, I think you've heard it and you've seen it. We believe what we're saying here. This is not just about a job. This is about making a difference. And to me, that's what keeps me coming to work every single day and living through some of the things you live through, just to be able to get out there and try to change this industry for the better.
Before leaving St. Louis, we met up to say goodbye back at the Aesculap National Repair Center.
We really can't thank you enough for having us today. At Beyond Clean, we're focused on people, processes, and products. And yeah, we saw a lot about the products and the processes on our tour, but really it's fitting we're here by the statue because it really is all about the people.
Justin, I don't think you could have said this any better. When we think about the traditions, the origins of who we are and where we come from, I think that this statue represents this exactly. In fact, this statue reminds me of myself, the 20+ years ago, when I went through the apprentice program to become a master craftsman. And I was the one with the file, filing away and learning the quality, and that's where the origins come from. So this statue brings us back to the master craftsman origins, and that is who we are.
And we've seen that master craftsmanship play out in such cool ways while we've been here. And one of the ways that really sticks out for me is in field service, really seeing that master craftsmanship come to life.
Yeah, I hope you got a chance to see how personal this is to us. It's more than a job. We take the responsibility very seriously, the responsibility to the field and the responsibility to our communities. And it really starts with our training.
Yeah, Chris is exactly right, really. It starts right from minute one. We try to instill a passion and a pride for what it is we do. We build on the tradition of 180 years so that we operate with greater precision moving forward with the next generation of technicians.
That's a great point, Stephen, and actually brings up an important theme across all of sterile processing, the conversation of culture, training, and commitment. It's so important for us on the user side of things to know that the company and the team that we work with is going to be there tomorrow or next year. And that the technician that we work with, the team that we work with, actually has roots all the way back to your story about the master craftsmanship. Hugely important theme. And Tim, we really saw that shine through in all the tour and all the conversations with your team here. You got a lot you should be proud of.
Thank you, Hank. I am extremely proud. You look at the tenure of these guys, even from the technician to management, going through to Germany and seeing the generations that have worked at the same place. Right. It is just amazing. It gives you such pride of what we're doing here. We want to thank you guys for coming and just experiencing a little bit of what we do, and we thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Awesome.
Really, take care.